Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Radio Dead Air Tech Q&A. You've got questions, we've got guesses. Nash been doing Radio Dead Air for ages, but in addition to that, I'm also an IT professional. With me, as always, my producer, Mike Gearman, who also works in IT. We are taking your tech questions, as always. By all means, fire those off to us. Send those to requests at radiodeadair.com, and we will help you out with things. How you doing, Mike?
Not too bad. We finished our Windows 11 update at work, except for like a tiny number of machines that are going like, no, not gonna. We're like, you're gonna get wiped. Don't care. Okay.
Well, before we get to questions tonight, we do have news. And last story, I sent you the updated link, the last story we're doing, because oh my god, it's bad this week. But we have other news first too. Yeah. So the console gaming industry has not been in great shape for a while. Now, I'm not talking about the Steam Deck, because that has just been gangbusters because, hey, it's affordable and it has the entire Steam library. Brilliant idea. Yeah. Or
some of it doesn't play that well on a Steam Deck, but that's not the fault of the deck. That's just, hey, this game does not work with this interface very well.
And then we also have the Steam, the Switch, which is also doing freaking numbers. One of the most bought consoles. The Switch 2 did an amazing amount of sales in spite of costing so much. I honestly thought it was sunk at that price point, but no, it did pretty dang good this year. But Xbox and even the PlayStation have not been doing so great. So mainly because they're built around the idea of exclusives, and they haven't really had much to crow about in the last couple years.
I think there's another factor in there, though, Nash. The Xbox and the PlayStation are also built around you're going to be at home. They're not mobile systems, and I think we're still in a little bit of a mindset from some people of, hey, the pandemic is over. I want to go out and do things, but I also want to take a game system with me. You can't do that with the PlayStation or an Xbox. I mean, you could, but you're not going to do anything with it.
Yeah, but there's also the fact that ideally the Xbox and the PlayStation are better performing, and you have a bigger screen, and you have online's a lot easier to play with. So those were, aside from the fact they just simply don't have any exclusives. And on top of that, we're dealing with antique technology at this point. The Xbox Series, let's see, when did the Series 1X or when did that come out? Because it launched a long while ago.
Though, that the hardware on it is rather dated. So people aren't getting necessarily the full effect of resolution of games that they might be buying versus, say, PC, or even versus, hey, why does this game look better on the Switch than it does on the PlayStation?
I'm double checking. When did it come out? Series X. So yeah, they came out in 2020. They're 5 years old now. Next year to be 6 years old. That's a long time in console. We haven't even gotten mid refresh. So they are pegging a lot of
that is almost old enough to drink in Alabama.
So they're pegging a lot of hopes on GTX 6, which is going to be hopefully to spur along more console purchases. It's because it's a console exclusive. You will not be able to get it on PC. The only thing you just play on Xbox One or Xbox Series X or PS5. That's all you can play it on. And it ain't coming anytime soon because it was delayed to May 26, 2026. Now it's faced a further delay to November of 2026. And the reason for that,
firing 30 people out of the studio that's working on it might be a factor.
yeah, it's looking like Rockstar has engaged in a bit of union busting. They fired 31 people from Rockstar UK on October 30th, which that's a lot of developers to just drop on your flagship product. Now, Rockstar is claiming that, or Take-Two Interactive, their parent company, is claiming that the staff who have been fired were sharing confidential information. And they phrased it that way to make it seem like they were talking about stuff in the game. So the gamers will go, oh, you can't leak stuff from the game. So to make it seem reasonable. But more than likely, and we haven't heard from the fired workers yet, when you add in union and workers sharing confidential information, that's typically about their pay rates.
Yes. Now, I will say that the UK has in many ways, a stronger union/employee system. And this will go to tribunal there. That's what they call their system. I have no idea how it actually works. I've just heard the term and heard things about it from various other sources. So there'll be a tribunal that sits down and goes, okay, what was the stuff they leaked? And if it turns out to be their respective pay information, Rockstar/Take-Two will get hammered over that.
Yeah, see, I don't believe that 30 developers were just giving out secrets on the video game. It's far more likely, considering these are union members, this was a union effort, it's far more likely they were talking about their pay rates. So, right now, you might be saying, well, that's crazy. Why would Rockstar do that in a country that has strong union laws? No one has ever accused corporate executives of having good judgment.
No.
Or I should say, no one has ever gone broke betting against corporate executives to have good judgment. So
it's one of those things where statistically there has to have been a corporate executive somewhere who has had good judgment. Because we've got some corporations that have lasted hundreds of years. But realistically, that may just be dumb luck on a lot of their parts.
So what does this mean? Well, it means that Rockstar's rush to try to clamp down people trying to get paid more fairly is going to impact their overall profits. Because when you fire 30 developers, the entire rest of the staff is in revolt right now. So I can honestly imagine there's going to be a little bit of foot dragging. Even the people who are actually working there, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be so eager to get things moving out the door.
They're not going to give their full 100%.
In addition to that, you can't just bring in 30 random developers and plop them down in the middle of the game and be like, okay, finish it. That's not going to work so easy.
Isn't that what Amazon did with their MMO?
Yeah, that worked great.
Oh, yeah, you got a point.
That worked perfect for they're about to shut that shit down.
Now, the other point's not mentioned in this article, but another point is a lot of game companies had recognized, hey, when GTA 6 gets released, it's going to pull all the oxygen out of the room, all the budget out of the room from gamers. They're going to buy this game. They're going to be playing this game. Let's not release our games anywhere near this release window because it's not going to go good for us. So they all rescheduled further out. And now that Rockstar is rescheduled, these companies are going like, oh, you assholes.
Yeah. But to make it even worse, so PlayStation has hung they have made a bet on this. Xbox has made a bet on this. We don't know when their mid-cycle refresh for those consoles are coming. They are supposedly coming. There's going to be like an Xbox 5 Pro and some sort of Xbox, well, not Xbox, whatever they call it. There's going to be a beefed up, bulked up version soon. And that's probably been targeted to release about the same time as GTX 6 to, spur along sales. But moving this back is already screwing up those plans. And how much you want to bet that dropping 30 developers at this point is going to mean that November release date is probably a little optimistic on Rockstar's part.
Well, okay, it's either going to be optimistic for a full game release, or it's going to be, hey, here's 82% of the game. The other 18% of the game will be available as a download a month, 2 months, whatever after. Plus, there'll be DLC, of course.
Well, I mean, they can try that, but just trying to do that, trying to pull things out and package them separately, that's going to be even more work. Even more. So they might not.
I don't disagree, but if their choice is doing that or missing the pushed back release date, I suspect they'll not push the release date back a second time.
This could quite possibly end up like a Cyberpunk 2077 level fiasco when it finally gets released.
But you know what we really need, Nash?
Huh.
We really need someone to remind us about this next year, this time.
Yeah.
So we can look back and say, hey, what happened here?
And just think, all you had to fucking do was pay your employees fairly. That's all you had to do. And instead, you set this in motion, so we'll see what happens with this. It ain't gonna be good, is my bet on this. Speaking of people with fiascos, let's move on to AMD. This has been happening over the course of about a week or so now, plus. AMD, all right, so this is a little bit of a saga. Let's try to plot this out. A little while back, earlier this month, actually end of last month, somewhere around there, AMD announced that they were making changes to their RDNA drivers, and that from now on, RDNA 3 and 4 cards, which is the Radeon 7000 series and 9000 series, would be getting game updates, regular updates, efficiency updates, stuff to make them work better with newer games, and that they were putting the older cards, the 5000 and 6000 series, into maintenance mode, which meant they were only going to be getting security updates, but not game day updates. And they this kind of
back, yeah.
Oh, boy, howdy, have they. See, the thing about RDNA 1, I will grant you, the 5000 series is fairly old at this point. That's from, I will double check on this one, but I believe that's 2018?
I'm bringing up the Wikipedia article now.
Yeah. The RX 5000, 2019. Okay, so that's 6 years old. Fair enough. And of course, the RX 5000 was the first of the RDNA generations. It has issues. They work, but they're not desirable, and their ray tracing is less than desirable. So if you want to put those in maintenance mode, fine. RDNA 2, however, the 6000 series, they're still selling those new RDNA 6000 cards. And in addition to
saying that you were going to split the stack effectively, and we're not going to do big updates for this one, that pisses off a lot of people who just bought these things.
Even more, the Ryzen 7000 and 9000 series CPUs, the integrated graphics processors, are RDNA 2 based. So you're saying that the built-in GPUs in their flagship Ryzen CPUs, which they're not getting a refresh. There's not going to be a Ryzen 10,000 series until the end of next year. So everybody's GPUs are now being put into maintenance mode. These are brand new chips that are coming off the line. People got a little pissed off.
Remember what we said a few minutes ago about executives not having certain kinds of sense? This feels like, I think I've mentioned this before, that I feel like there's someone at AMD. There's a secret department at AMD, and that is the shoot yourself in the foot department. And they don't call it that. It's the vice president of marketing strategies or something like that. And they're the ones who set the price points on things. Badly. And I feel like they were involved here.
Yeah, a lot of different outlets kind of grilled them on this. And finally, AMD had to roll it back and say, all right, but we are still splitting the driver support, which is a little suspect. They're going to have a separate driver stack for RDNA 3 and 4, which is, again, the RX 7000 and 9000 GPUs. But if you have an RX 5000 or 6000 or a Ryzen 7000 or 9000 CPU, you get a different driver stack. And that seems like a bad idea. One of the smartest things NVIDIA ever did was their unified driver. They put everything into one package. Every single device will work off their driver package. No splitting. Optimizations will go across the board. Right now, if you have a supported GPU, which is the GTX 1080 Ti, which is still supported, the earlier 10,000 aren't, but the 1080 Ti still is, RTX 2000, 3000, 4000, and 5000 GPUs, almost a decade's worth of GPUs, are all still supported. And when a new game comes out, those GPUs, day and date, get a new driver optimized for those games.
Yeah.
This means AMD has decided we're going to make this even more difficult. We're going to have one team working on half the cards and another team working on another half of the cards.
Plus the processor GPUs.
Plus the processor GPUs, yes. So, what? I don't understand how this is supposed to save money or optimize anything. Or
the only thing I can think is they're few. Now, please understand, I'm not saying I agree with this decision. I'm just saying this is the thing I think of. Their future planning, how they're going to do things with that next year release, and maybe the next year's processors are going to go to RDNA 3, RDNA 4. I mean, I see if you could take them straight to RDNA 4, but that's me. And saying, hey, yeah, we're going to stop making the RDNA 2 cards. We're freeing up our production lines for better stuff. And that's when they stop. I would agree with putting stuff in maintenance mode if it is no longer being produced new. That is okay-ish, but still new. No, not so much. Yeah, this was again. This is AMD's shoot yourself in the foot department, cleverly renamed marketing strategies.
This is also going to be more difficult for people trying to troubleshoot and do maintenance on systems like this, because now you have added, instead of having a unified driver, now this was part of why unified drivers were so desirable. Intel did it with theirs. Their GPUs have a unified driver, and they did it after NVIDIA did, because it means you have to go and search and pick and find the exact driver for the exact piece of hardware. Children, my young ones, let me explain to you how in the long ago, the dark times, every single piece of hardware had its own specific driver which was its own specific download. You didn't just, if you knew who made the bit, that wasn't enough. You had to know the exact freaking model. You had to know the exact freaking release model, version and revision sometimes.
I mean, one of the things it's hard for me to give Microsoft credit for anything. One of the things Microsoft did, where you can go into Windows Update and say, "Hey, look to see if there's new drivers out there for the hardware I have," and it handles it for you, is great.
So
and yes,
now
as we still do that for motherboard BIOS, but that's because motherboard BIOS is not a regularly updated thing. I mean,
and it's also not something that's
never update.
Yeah, a BIOS is initially meant, unless there's a complete failure, you don't release a BIOS with a motherboard. It's meant to run as with the out of the box specs permanently, unless something is a big bug that's causing. Yeah, you shouldn't have to update your BIOS unless you're changing some stuff. Regardless, this is bad.
When we install new processors on things, we go, "Oh, this processor is going to need a BIOS update because the original BIOS wouldn't fit all the motherboards, usually all the processors, and this one's new." And if you were like me a machine or so ago, that was updating the BIOS 3 times because I couldn't go straight from where I was to where I needed to go. I had to go to here, and then to here, and then finally to here.
So this is a bad call on AMD's part, and I don't know how long this is gonna. Does AMD even want to sell video cards? Do they even really want to be? I mean, could they do they want to? Because it doesn't seem like they do. It doesn't seem like they enjoy making video cards. It doesn't seem like they enjoy selling them. Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe someone else should do that for them. Maybe sell that shit to Samsung or somebody who actually wants to make the shit. Because you don't. You fucking don't. You're fucking fuck. All right, the last one. This is the bad news for this week. And this isn't, we're going to talk about the current impact. But this is going to go further than that as it plays out. And this is the worst time of year because we are like a few weeks away from doing our annual build recommendations for PC enthusiasts. If you want to put together a system, we were going to give our recommendations. And they did this is hitting just before Christmas, which so bad. So thanks to AI, big air quotes, thanks to AI, the prices of RAM and soon to be flash memory have skyrocketed. How far have they skyrocketed? Give you an example. A 64 gigabyte kit of DDR5 6000, not even the high-end shit, the mid-range shit, has jumped from around $250 to $280 to $500 in the course of a few weeks. Now, this was already hitting a lot of the high-end stuff, the HBM RAM, other stuff that wasn't really on the low end of things. Now it's hitting the regular DDR5 prices because, and this is also a failure of the RAM makers. See, the RAM makers do not want to put so much product onto the market that they bring prices down to a reasonable. They kind of control the market on releasing RAM and flash and whatnot. So they don't keep a big stockpile. They have a set amount and they have a price to go with that set amount. But when demand spikes, and demand has spiked right now because of all these servers and all this crap, because demand has spiked, there's not enough product to fill the demand because they don't have enough ready to go. They don't have a warehouse to just release more product. They have to go and make them. RAM prices have skyrocketed. 64 gigs of RAM is now twice as much. This is affecting computers right now. This is going to affect your desktops. laptops as well, because they need those same chips. But this is going to spread out further because that same RAM, it's also in your phones, and it's in your tablets, and it's in your consoles. It's in your Switch 2. It's in your Xboxes and your PS5s. It's in your television. It's in any of your smart devices. It's in your car.
It's in your peanut butter.
RAM is the underpinning of every bit of computer technology we have right now. If you're making, you remember a few years back, I believe it was during the pandemic, when they shut down all the factories over in Taiwan and China, and they couldn't get out any sort of processor. And it wasn't even the cutting edge processors. It was like a couple processes back, like 28 nanometer stuff that was being used for cars and was being used for other devices. They couldn't make cars because they couldn't get the CPUs for the cars. They couldn't make cars because they couldn't get chips. The entire car was freaking useless. If this keeps up, and we're already at a shortage to the point where desktop RAM has doubled in price, this is going to spread to every other computer good on the market. Everything. Prices on everything will shoot to twice as high, or they simply won't be able to make them because the parts will not be available. All of this for the sake of a product that pretty much the whole financial industry is starting to acknowledge this is a bubble. We will face bubbles pop. Bubbles, when they say bubble, that's not a good thing. That's not, oh, we're going to have this forever, because bubbles, as we all know, bubbles are the most solid and stable thing in all of nature, and they never collapse under any. No, that's not why they call it a bubble. But until that pops, we're going to see this utter waste. And that's the other frustrating part is understand they aren't grabbing the RAM sticks off the shelf to put them into the AI servers. That's not what's happening. They're getting the RAM chips.
They're grabbing production lines.
Yeah, they're grabbing the chips before they get put onto, say, a stick of RAM or any other device that needs RAM. They're grabbing the chips themselves. And that means more RAM's not getting made for these devices. That means that's not going to be available for everything else. It's all going to this server crap. This is bad. This is bad not just for, gaming, and not just for, this is bad for everything that needs a computer. Because we don't have a replacement for RAM. There is no alternative to RAM. There's simply not. The way computers work, you have storage, long-term storage, the CPU, and in between the two is short-term storage. That's RAM. We don't have an alternative. And this is also affecting stuff like devices you wouldn't, like hard drives have extra RAM in them. They have a buffer in there to make those behave fast. This old style hard drives have RAM in them. Obviously this is going to be graphics cards as well, but those are a little bit different. They're using GDDR. They have their own special kind of DDR RAM. However, that's all going into the server parts as well. So frick. DDR4.
One thing I will note.
Mm-hmm.
You sent me two stories on this. And
the other one
dated the 4th. Well, the one dated earlier this week said 100% or more, and the one dated today.
Oh, that's for flash. That's for flash RAM.
Oh. Okay, yes, okay. You're good. Good point. Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, there's RAM, and then there's flash, which is what's used for long-term storage. And this is bad. I think this is the first year. From now, for a while, we've been recommending it was time to move to 32 gigabytes on an entry-level build. Decent, mid-range. Now I'm going to have to recommend, I don't think we had a build with less than 16 gigs of RAM in a long time. And now I'm thinking that our entry level build, if what we come up with, is probably going to be an 8 gig RAM build. That's terrible. That's just barely the requirements for Windows 11. In fact, I don't even know can Windows 11 run on 8 gigs of RAM? I haven't seen the requirements in a while. Let's see. Windows 11 minimum requirements. Let's see. Yeah, because I haven't looked at those in ages. System requirements. RAM, the minimum 4 gigs. Okay, well, it can technically run on 4 gigs if you call that running.
Want to.
I wouldn't want to either. That's bad. That's very bad. Like, we've hit the point where 8 gigs has kind of been the minimum for a while, and there was no good reason not to get 16 gigs. Now there is a good reason not to start a system with 16 gigs of RAM. This is so stupid. This is so absolutely stupid. And the big problem is when the bubble pops and all these parts, all these data centers are not needed, and they try to fire sale this hardware, they try to do something with them. All of this RAM will be useless because you can't use it for home systems. You can't reuse it in other devices. It's all going to go in the trash. It's so dumb. This is so freaking stupid. I'm just, even if the bubble pops tomorrow, this is still going to play out for a while. And all of these parts have been, I remember a couple of years ago, we said with the GPU stuff that it was the worst year ever for building a computer. This one might be the worst. There's a reason why I'm adding the eBay entry this year. For the first time ever, we're looking at used parts. That's why. All right. Well, that is the news for this week. Now let's get to your tech questions. If you have them for us, you can send those to request@radio.air.com. We'll try to answer those for you and double check, see if we got anything new in yet. We don't, not yet. All right. So let's get, we already have. Red Rock. Hi, Nash and Mike. Do you have any PC fan recommendations? I need something that's going to work, but affordable. I don't care about LEDs, but I do care about quiet.
Okay,
yeah,
so if you hadn't said affordable, I just lost their brand name. I had it a second ago. The one that's super quiet, but it's $35 a fan.
That's Noctua.
Noctua, thank you. Yes. If you wanted super quiet and money wasn't an object, yeah, Noctua. I mean, they're kind of ugly, but they are quiet.
Well, there is an alternative to Noctua these days. It's taken a while, but Noctua is not. There is a notch down from them that is definitely not Noctua's super level, but really, really quiet and good enough. Arctic's fans have been doing work. Their P12 Pro, and they had the P12 Max, but that's out of production now. They moved to P12 Pro. They've got an improved version. Arctic's P12 Pro and P14 Pro. The 12 is the 120 millimeter. The 14 is the 140 millimeter. Those are really good, really fast. They have the what's the let's see, P12 Pro. I want to see what the max speed on RPM is it. Yeah, those go up to 3,000 RPM. Now, the reason why that's a big deal, you want them quiet. Being able to go to 3,000 RPM, that sucker's going to be loud. Even Noctua at 3,000 RPM is loud. But having the ability to dial it back to about halfway, you get some pretty good performance without the noise. I've got a couple of P12 Maxes. They aren't the pros but I've had them for a while, and those do 2,800 RPM. I keep them dialed to around 1,200. I don't even hear them. They are super quiet. They move a lot of air. They're good for radiators. They're good general purpose fans now. The whole idea of splitting them between radiators and case fans, that's kind of gone. Now we have general purpose ones again. The good news for these, however, is the price. They're like $10 each. Now you look at Noctua, they're $30 each. Even some of the other, because I forget, Fantax has like a their thick boy T40, I believe it's called. It's like no T30. It's like an additional 5 millimeters thick, so it gets more bulk to it. That one's even pricey too, but that was a good performer, but it's pricey. The Arctic line are really, good for the money. I can speak from experience. I've got Noctua fans where you can't see them in my system, and I put the Arctic ones because they come in black and white. I've got white ones up there. Because the fans were dying. I needed something to replace them, and I needed something that would perform well. So I got those. And for $10 each, you really can't beat them. Price to performance, it's some of the best available right now. Like, it's crazy, but we actually have a good deal. I know, it's wild. They also do have, you say you don't care about LED. They actually do have ARGB versions. And to top it all off, they have an ARGB reverse one. So if you care about how the fan looks in in your case, they have a reverse version, so you don't have to see the back of the fan, depending on where you put it. How much do the RGBs cost? Let's see. Yeah, the ARG, they're digital RGB, they're ARGB. Let's see. Those are, good God. No, that's not the right fan. That's the white one. That's not the. Okay, maybe Arctic's website's a little bad. All right, let me see this. Oh yeah, the RGB is only $14. So yes, they come in packs. They have a 3-pack of the RGBs. Oh, you get a discount. That 3-pack is $30. So you get 3 for the same price. P12 Pro, there's a 5-pack of those for $27.50 with $10 delivery. That's $40. So you're getting a discount on you're getting like a buy 5 get 1 free. So yeah, I mean they're for the money right now. They're the best I can recommend. $27.50 with $10 shipping. So that's closer to $40 rare. Still, that's $40 for 5 fans in a pack. I recommend them. They work well. They move air. You can feel they move air. It's I would call that a worthwhile go for that. So yeah, that's what I recommend. The Arctic P12 Pro and the P14 Pro. They aren't the best on the market. There are others on the market that are better, but they are price to performance the best deal on the market. So, all right, what is our next one on here? Okay, Hey Nash, Mike, and Cats. I reinstalled Skyrim after watching you play it on stream, but I can't get any of the Anniversary Edition content to show up. I uninstalled and reinstalled it twice, and it's still not working. And I checked, I have the Special Edition and Anniversary Edition. I'm not getting any errors I can see. You got your system specs here. All right, this is from Steven. Steven, okay, there's 2 things, one of 2 things that could be causing this. And the first one might be, you don't mention this, but this might be the dumb one. Okay. The Anniversary Edition stuff for Skyrim, because there was Skyrim, there was the Special Edition, and there's the Anniversary Edition. The Anniversary Edition is the Special Edition. It's just a newer one. The Anniversary Edition content is on the Creation Club. You actually have to go to the Creation. It's free, but you have to open up your Creation Club account and download it. which means you have to sign in, you have to have a Bethesda account, you have to have your password. If you haven't signed into the Creation Club from the menu in Skyrim and downloaded the stuff, you're not going to see any of the stuff because it doesn't come included.
I would say that, yeah, strangely. I mean, they should just make it one download with the Anniversary Edition, but they don't.
Well, that's what they want you to go to the Creation Club, because the Creation Club, you spend real money for Creation Club mods. And it's spread across Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Starfield. They all use the same Creation Club account stuff with Creation Club. What's up? With Creation Club stuff, they have you spend real money, you buy, and it's always here's a bunch of tokens you buy with real money, but the same, you have to get an odd number of tokens to buy these things, and they're not even, so you might have to buy more than you actually want. And it's a pain in the butt. And even if you don't buy anything, you have to sign in, which means you have to give Bethesda an email address, and they have to get your information, and it's garbo. It's garbo. So, the bad news there is, that might be it. The other one that might be it is if you are coming back to Skyrim Special Edition. If you already had, you don't mention if you already had it installed. If you already had the game installed, sometimes the previous INI file can goof you up. So what you'll need to do is, let me see, with the Skyrim INI file, it's in a location. Where is it? Let's see. It should be in Documents, My Games, Skyrim Special Edition. That's the default place for it. Unless you're running a mod organizer. In which case, let's see, where's it on a mod organizer? It shows it in the profile directory. So you have to go to the mod organizer directory and then look in the profiles there, and you will find the INI, and you have to delete it. When the game comes back up, it'll generate a new one, and that should correct the problem, and you'll get access to the anniversary stuff. That's an unusual situation, but it does happen because, this stuff is not perfect. We're talking about a game that is so Skyrim creaks, okay? It makes suspicious noises and pops, and it says, oh, it's just the weather changing. It's not just the weather changing, but that's how, the game's just settling. It's not just settling. There's foundational problems. It is an ancient game. Though I do want to recommend something. If you are playing Skyrim after all these time, there's something you might want to consider getting if you have a newer video card. And that is, it's a program on Steam. It's called Lossless Scaling. And what this is, it's an addition for games that do not have stuff like DLSS or FSR or any of those other options available to it. It's kind of a standalone lossless scaling, resolution scaling software that will work with old games. And it doesn't work perfect, and it doesn't work with everything, but it does work with a bunch of stuff. And Skyrim's one of those things it'll work with. You have to pay for it, but it is worth it. This will improve your frame rates. This will improve the playability of it. You can give adjustments like frame rates and whatnot. It does frame generation as well, which for a single player game like Skyrim, without having to worry about, Twitch gaming and have to worry about being competitive, that helps. And you combine that with a lot of really good mods that have improved visuals and whatnot. It makes things run nicer. So that's one thing I would recommend if you're trying to get an old game like that going, is lossless scaling, which would be, yes. All right. What is the last question we have this week? Where'd it go? Where did you go? Ah, damn it.
Right here. Hey, Nash and Mike, I'm thinking about getting a Home Assistant to work with me stuff. but I have two problems I'm worried about. One, I have stuff from a bunch of different manufacturers. I have some Google Home stuff and some Alexa stuff and some Philips stuff, etc. Two, can I get things from different manufacturers to work together in Home Assistant? Like, for example, can I have one switch turn on two different things at the same time? Thanks for everything, Chandler.
Okay. Home Assistant is really great. The first thing, the answer here is yes. Asterisk. Home Assistant is, if you're not familiar, we've talked about it here on stream before. Home Assistant is a home server that you run yourself on your own computer to manage your Internet of Things. You don't need to have a server that's based halfway around the world to control your damn thermostat. You can do it locally. You don't have to have an email address, a special account, and it's free software. That's the good side. Bad side is there's a little bit of a learning curve, and you probably will want to look into a tutorial or so to get started with Home Assistant. But the other good news is it'll run on damn near anything. The most lightweight stuff you can think of will run Home Assistant. A Raspberry Pi will run it no problem. It doesn't have any graphics demands, doesn't have any rendering demands. It's just a basic set of server commands for your stuff. Most things have support. Either some companies have seen the way the winds are blowing and they have added first-party support to Home Assistant. So Philips, for example, they have a plugin where you can go and click on it, and it's a one-click install too, which is super cool. You go to the website for Home Assistant, you look for Philips plugin, there it is, you click it, it adds it to your Home Assistant. You don't have to configure it you don't have to do any weird shit to install it. It installs itself, and then you can go and add stuff to it. Some things will add themselves to your network automatically when Home Assistant detects them, because Home Assistant can detect them. Some things won't. You'll have to add those manually and figure out how to do it, which you'll have to look into doing. It's not always easy, but most things are. So if you have stuff that works with Google Home, it will probably work with Home Assistant. If you have stuff that works with Alexa, it will probably work with Home Assistant. Otago Boy says, I run Home Assistant, old dual-core Celeron J1900 with 4 gigs of RAM. Yeah, I run Home Assistant on a system with Linux. It runs on damn near, it's a very lightweight set of software. It's taken a while to get to the point where it is, but once you've got it there, it's good. Now, the second part is, can you get things from different manufacturers to work together? Yes, but you're going to have to rely on something called automations. And this is a little bit of a learning curve in Home Assistant. Home Assistant has a way of saying, all right, I'm going to take the sensor from this device, which maybe it's a temperature sensor, maybe it's a motion sensor, maybe it's just, the switch. I'm going to take this device and tell it to do something to another device. It's kind of an if-then statement. You give it a trigger, say pushing this light switch. And if that light switch is pushed, then it does something else. You can add conditions to it so that only if certain conditions are set. You can get deep into the weeds. You can code it yourself. It's got YAML code. So it's got a graphic interface. So you can just click, I want to do this, and save it. There's your automation. Or you could go deep into the weeds and be like, I want to get granular here and make it do this thing. And that's another option as well. So yeah, you can put a lot, like for example, in my house, I got these cheap Zigbee buttons, and I'm not going to go too crazy on this. Zigbee is a low power transmission device for home automation. Blah, 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 blah. They're little buttons you push and they can cause other things to react to them. I've got like Zigbee buttons set up to work with light switches from TP-Link and smart switches from, I've moved mostly to TP-Link stuff because I like their stuff. I can use it with my TP-Link cameras. If I wanted to, I could keep the camera like I could set it up so the camera only reacts when, say, a different brand of sensor. Like, for example, if I had somebody else's like a Reolink motion sensor. I could say, all right, when this motion sensor goes off, turn on this camera. And they're from two different manufacturers, but Home Assistant is handling the whole thing. It's really neat. It's really convenient. We've got some heaters here that I've got like some oil radiator heaters because I'm trying to keep like per room heat to try and keep our prices down. I just set those up so with temperature sensors. So when the temperature goes down from the temperature sensor, it activates the smart switch that's plugged into the wall, which turns on the heater. So it's all based on the temperature sensor. It's so cool, the kind of stuff. I really enjoy Home Assistant. You can set up web page. It's kind of like a web page based interface, and you set up pages with different devices and stuff on them. It's got controls. You can work from your smartphone, from your tablet. It's just a really neat thing. And yes, all of your stuff that you have should work together. Now, for example, I've got a window AC from Medea. Some companies do not like playing nice with Home Assistant. That's where third-party people come in, and they come up with their own plugins to get it to work with some devices that the manufacturers don't support. However, they can be finicky. The Medea ones require you to get a Medea account. You actually have to log into their system and get a token from them that Home Assistant can read. Once it has that token, it can kind of mess with stuff, but you still have to work with some of their crap because, again, these companies don't like you to have control over your stuff. Once you have that token, you never need to connect to their crap ever again. You can disconnect it. You can throw it the hell away because once the device has that token and Home Assistant can read it, okay, we'll go off to the races. So there is a little give and take here. There's some stuff Home Assistant can't do natively because companies suck. But once you do get it under Home Assistant's control, you don't need the internet anymore. It's all local. It's all great. Again, learning curve, find some tutorials, just brush up on it. It's constantly in development. It's sort of like it's the Linux of Home Assistants, and it's proceeded to a point where it is very enthusiastic coding base. You have a bunch of people working on it constantly. It has its own, they have a pay service for Home Assistant. You don't have to get it, but it lets you do more stuff that, I don't need. A lot of people don't need, but it does help fund the project. And
I say the other thing is it helps fund the project, which is very useful. And a lot of people doing this stuff are volunteering their time. I want to say I ran into someone on there a while back, who was asking for assistance with, I don't even remember what device it was, but it was something that was uncommon at best. And even volunteered to send one to someone for them to write the interface part, to do the interfacing, whatever it was necessary for them.
Open source is cool that way. You'll find a bunch of people very knowledgeable. I mean, it can be frustrating in other ways, but it's very cool in that way.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Home Assistant has got you covered. So the upside is lightweight hardware. You don't need to have anything expensive to run it. Just add it to your network and you're good. I put the Home Assistant on the same thing I run my media server, which is a little chunkier because I do have to render video on there, but it runs in the background. You don't even notice it's there. It's super cool. All right, I'm gonna double check. I don't think we have anything.
It's a lightweight program 99% of the time.
Yeah. All right, that is it for this week from the look of it. Yeah, we don't have anything new this week. All right. We will be back next Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you have tech questions for Mike and myself, you can send those to requests@radio.air.com. In the meanwhile, we will see you next time. Good night, everybody.